and you never had anybody come out in 2016 and badmouth him of employees. And
no,
that's got to say
Mike,
something.
You're seeing a different view. You're seeing a different view. And then look, I'm respecting and I believe you totally that you say, hey, you talk to some employees of Trump, and then they like
a lot of employees,
right?
A lot of employees.
But I'm telling you that there's tons of employees that have come out from the Trump organization too. So I remember this story.
Cenk Uygur had Mike Lindell, the MyPillow guy, on the Young Turks to engage in a debate about what else Donald Trump. As you can imagine, it was pretty interesting and pretty entertaining. We're going to take a look at clips of Cenk Uygur and Mike Lindell on the Young Turks. I'll share my thoughts from time to time as well. Let's check this out together.
Never voted in my life. I never, until 2016, I didn't even know a Democrat from a Republican. I didn't care about politics. But one thing I did care about was addiction. And Donald Trump had done a lot in that space for addiction. The opiate bill, I was there. I know many things. He took regulations off where you didn't have to go to school to help an addict. You had your teen challenges, your Salvation Armies, where he did a lot of things for that industry. So I look at things like that, where it's a businessman. He takes things, silos them out, and say, how can I help this particular industry or this particular thing? And then you look at it as a whole. And he's been doing it all his life as a businessman. When I first met him, I didn't know him from Adam. I went in, it was a private meeting. He wanted to know how it was like to make, how I was doing making my pillows here in the US. Was it working out? He wanted my opinion. Some guy from Minnesota, an ex-crack addict, and that I respected that. But after talking to him for 45 minutes, I got to personally vet the guy. He didn't have an agenda. He didn't ask me for money. And I went and asked his employees. I said, "Is this for real?" He said, "Yeah, he's a good boss. He's a good boss, good person." And they all had a personal story about him, how he had helped them. Some of these employees, it didn't matter who they were. I really respected that. I thought, you can tell a lot by people, the employees that work for them, and I went all in for him. I'd never met a president before. I'd never voted before, but if he said what he told me in that room that he was going to do those things, I thought it made a lot of sense, and he did fulfill those promises, and it helped. It helped a lot of small businesses. I believe he brought many, many jobs back. I know it helped my personal business. It was consumer confidence. I mean, people were just very confident, and now I see he was smart when you say, okay, we're shutting down a border where fentanyl was pouring in and drugs, and that meant a lot to me too, as I was running my own Lindell Recovery Network, and so that's when I ended up going all in, because it just made sense. It was common sense solutions. I don't care what party. He had the solutions that were there, and I believe he fulfilled them.
Yeah, so I wish I could agree with you, Mike, but I don't. So I'm going to break this all down. But I'm curious what you said about drug addiction. I want to come back to that in a minute, because maybe he deserves credit on that, but I'm not sure. So first you said, look, he's a successful businessman. No, he's not. Mike, you're way more successful businessman than Donald Trump is. Donald Trump was handed $413 million from his dad. You didn't get $413 million from your dad, did you? No.
No, I got it.
No, and he blew that first $400 million. He had 6.
This is actually a really good point from Cenk Uygur, that I think you could definitely make the argument that Mike Lindell is a better business person than Donald Trump. He actually created a business. I mean, like he said there, he wasn't just handed hundreds of millions of dollars by a family member. So he is a better businessman than Donald Trump. And I don't think he's gone bankrupt over and over and over again like Donald Trump has. So this is a good point by Cenk Uygur.
Massive bankruptcies, and he said, it's good business not to pay your debts. No, that's not good business. That's terrible business, and I'm worried that he's going to do that for the country. He drove up the deficit and the debt by $8.4 trillion. If he does it again, it's going to be totally out of control, mainly corporate tax cuts. And you said he was a good boss. He was a brother. I know he was nice to you. But
no. I'm saying his employees. I personally vetted, asked his employees. You can't. That's coming out of their mouth. They had no reason. They had no reason to lie to me.
I hear you, but Mike, half his employees right now are going, don't. Oh my God, he's so dangerous. Those aren't employees.
Those aren't I'm talking
secretaries of
employees in his
defense.
private business. I'm talking. I've read those things. Those hit jobs from the media. But I'm saying I'm talking about his employees that have been with him at Trump Tower when I visited him the first time I ever met him. And these are the employees I'm talking about. The ones that are the maids, the ones that work in the hotels that I stayed in of his. And you never had anybody come out in 2016 and badmouth him of employees. And that's got to say
Mike,
something.
You're seeing a different view. You're seeing a different.
I think what I would say to Mike Lindell is, even if this is true, maybe this is what Mike Lindell is saying is the truth in terms of what these employees said to him about Donald Trump. Maybe they did think Donald Trump was a good boss, but let him continue being a business owner. He doesn't have to, go back to private life, run businesses however he wants to, but Donald Trump should not be running the country. And like Cenk Uygur is saying here, you have all these former, if you want to call those employees or not, people that were hired by Donald Trump or other people within his administration hired these people to be a part of his administration. And now these people are coming out, many of them, and saying, he's a danger, he's a fascist, we can't let this guy back in there again. Hey, if Donald Trump wants to be a private business owner again, more power to him. Great. Go back to doing that. But the guy should not be in charge of the country, no matter how much Mike Lindell likes him. And I have to say, I feel a little bit sorry for Mike Lindell. I'm sure people watching this video, a lot of you are going to be like, I don't feel the same way. But I think this guy's kind of a sad character. I mean, nobody forced him to get involved with Donald Trump, but he's lost a bunch of his business because of his connections with Donald Trump. And I think he has some real issues. I mean, obviously he was addicted to crack and all that, and he openly talks about that, but I think this guy has some real problems. And I don't put him quite in the category of some of these other loathsome, horrible, the other grifters that are in the Trump orbit. He seems like kind of a sad character to me, but I don't know. Maybe he's one of the worst people that ever lived. Let me know in the comments what you think.
And then look, I'm respecting and I believe you totally that you say, hey, you talk to some employees of Trump. And
I call a lot of employees.
Right.
A lot of employees.
But I'm telling you that there's tons of employees that have come out from the Trump organization too. So I remember this story of one of the executives. He's building Trump Tower. They said, we got to put Braille on the elevators. It's law in New York. He says, don't do it. They're like, what do you mean? We have to do it. It's the law. He's like, I don't care. Don't. And she said, he would always put us in positions so that he could blame us when something went wrong. So if we put the Braille in because we have to, he blames us. And if we don't put it in and it's illegal, then he's going to blame us, and then we're going to be charged.
All I know is that I know him personally. I think he's a great friend. He's a good man. I met him in 2016. I have vetted many people. If you read my book, I've been in the streets. I read people. He has his agenda. He loves the country. He loves people, and he has no other agenda. He doesn't have to do this. He has no other agenda,
Mike. You don't think he's making a tremendous amount of money from this? I mean, he's selling gold shoes. He's selling $60 Bibles. He's getting money from the Saudis. His son-in-law's getting money from the Saudis.
He doesn't need that money, and he's lost hundreds of millions. Here's what I want to say. There is, I just look at, for me, if there was a better candidate in this race, if you're talking this race, well, show him to me. But all I know is that she was a part of an administration that I'm telling you right now, I go all over this country and I talk to Democrats, Republicans, it doesn't matter, of the people and their lives, their physical lives here it's way worse than it was. There's so many nonsensical things being done that I don't understand. There's no sense to let that border open. There was no sense to shutting down our pipeline on your first day in office. And I know Waltz very well. I could sit and talk the whole show about him, but I'm not. If you're talking about Donald Trump, I'm saying he has proof of concept to me and to many others in this country where he got us to in that highest consumer confidence and where it was. You can say Obama took part of credit for that. That's the way the country is going. But all I know is the last 3.5 years, it's going to a pretty bad place in a lot of ways. And And I blame that on an administration, on decisions made in government.
Yeah.
And you got Kamala Harris. We ask her, well, what are you going to do? Well, why aren't you doing it now the last 3.5 years to solve these problems, these things we have? We have illegals taking. I sat, when we met last time at the Democrat convention, I sat there and we filmed many Democrats, about 100 Democrats that voted for Biden and now are voting for Trump. And I asked them, why are you switching? And what a lot of what came out of there was illegals have taken their resources and jobs. And it doesn't make sense that they're letting them come in and that they can vote, they can drive cars, my home state of Minnesota, what Waltz has done there with them, it's just not fair to people that came here legally, and that there's two different standards. And they were very upset about it.
So Mike, first of all, Donald Trump throughout his career has hired thousands of undocumented immigrants on almost.
I don't know that.
Yeah, well,
I don't know that. I'm going to have to have Alan Duke fact check you. Come on.
I would love it. Definitely fact check that. Okay, in the towers that he built, in the golf courses that he had. In fact, they found undocumented immigrants in his golf courses while he was president. So he's an enormous hypocrite on that. But
Jake, you're going in the past. People. I was an ex-crack addict. People could say all the things you want about my past. Donald Trump's past is not. But no. When he's president, he wasn't running those golf courses and stuff. He had nothing to do with it. He was running the United States of America, and he was making the good decisions.
So people can look that up, no problem, and you'll see he's hired undocumented immigrants throughout his career. But okay, so let's talk about substance and the country and how it's going. So. Look, I hear this a lot from conservatives saying, "Oh, the country was doing great under Trump, and now it's bad under Biden." And then you talk about jobs. But wait a minute, we have record low unemployment. You talk about undocumented immigrants taking people's jobs. If they're taking people's jobs, why do we have record low unemployment?
I don't know. Have they been unemployed for so long they're not reported? I don't know that, Cenk. I don't know. My point being is that you're saying this is why. People, if they ask themselves, they ask Kamala right in the debate, do you think people are better off now than they were 3.5 years ago? And I can't find anyone that says, no, I'm much better off now. You can't. When you go to a grocery store and it's outrageous and all these prices, and to be able to live a joyful life and happy while we're here. And Donald Trump does have proof of concept. What was so bad? I'm going to ask you, under Donald Trump yourself, what didn't you like that he did while he was in office, other than had to fight attacks by everyone under the sun? And he's like a one-man executive there trying to get stuff done that would help people. And he was, even with all the pushback and the attacks, he still got a lot of great things done. That's what I ask people. What did he do that you didn't like while he was in office? You can say, well, look what he did in his personal life back here, or look what he said on Twitter or whatever. But what did he do that actually hurt your life or bettered your life? That's what you got to ask yourself. I think that's what everybody should ask themselves about candidates that they're going for.
Yeah, I think people have rose-colored glasses on what they thought happened in the Trump years. So there was only a couple of major bills that he passed. So he did criminal justice reform a little bit, and I gave him credit for that. So, okay.
And the opiate bill, he helped addiction. And let me tell you, there weren't any wars. There wasn't any wars.
On, so let's Mike, not forget. Answering your question.
And he got rid of ISIS.
They always say there are no wars, and Donald Trump increased bombing, the drone bombing, from what was previously happening under President Obama. All the right wingers like Mike Lindell always, they're all no wars. It was just like totally peaceful. And Trump was doing drone bombings at record numbers.
Hold on, no. So, but then under that logic, Obama got rid of Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, so we should always vote Democrat. So that's the military doing their job under both presidents. So what was the major thing that he passed? You know what the major thing was? His corporate tax cuts. He gave $2 trillion tax cut to corporations. Look, even on his own agenda, the wall, he forgot about it. And then 6 months before the election, he's like, oh yeah, the wall. Because he doesn't really care, Mike. He doesn't care. So the main thing that he did was giant giveaways to the richest people in the country, and it was constant one crazy idea after another, and putting it like, so people are worried about a hurricane that's coming. I mean, I'll give you there's 1,000 examples. Go to tyt.com/library and you'll see all the crazy things that he's done that our audience has facts on, has links on, etc. But just one of so many different examples is hurricanes come, people are worried about where it's going to hit, but he said it wrong. So then he takes a Sharpie and redraws the path of the hurricane. That makes people panic about that they're going to get hit with a hurricane when they're not. And the people who are going to get hit might not know it. I mean, he does these crazy, crazy things, Mike.
Well, what's crazier that you...
So I'm going to stop here, but I think Cenk Uygur treats Mike Lindell a little bit he's pretty gentle with him, kind of treats him with kid gloves a little bit. He could really, get nasty if he wanted to, but I think Cenk probably feels the same way that I do, that this guy is a little bit, Mike Lindell's kind of off and he just doesn't know what he's talking about. Mike Lindell falls into this fallacy of, oh, I'm friends with this guy, he's nice to me, so he must be nice to everybody. And, we see this all the time where somebody commits some horrible crime and, they have friends in their life or family members who come forward and say, he's always great to me. He would never do something like that. And then it turns out this person has this other life where they're terrible. Donald Trump, it's right out in the open. We know the way that Donald Trump has ripped people off, not paid bills, had a fraudulent university. But yeah, he probably is nice to Mike Lindell because he can get something out of him. But like Cenk Uygur is saying here, Donald Trump cares about himself. He doesn't care about regular people. He doesn't care about the American people. This has just been another grift by Donald Trump, and it's been the ultimate grift, being president of the United States and trying to be president of the United States again. So Cenk Uygur is exactly right about this. Mike Lindell this isn't a guy who you can really take seriously because he is kind of a nut. But let me know what you think about this interaction between Cenk Uygur and Mike Lindell, this debate or discussion or whatever it is that they're happening. I mean, Mike Lindell is a delusional figure who is all in for Donald Trump. And sadly, we have a whole lot of people in the country who are just like Mike Lindell. They're conspiracy theorists. They believe that Trump actually cares about them when he doesn't. And Cenk Uygur does a great job of pointing this out here. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Cenk Uygur, Mike Lindell, any of these other political figures. I love to read your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe so I can keep growing my channel. I'm up well over 30,000 subscribers. I want to go to 50,000, 100,000 or more, and I can do that with your comments, likes, and subscribes. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.